Hello and welcome to another edition of Love and Lunch. Sorry, I'm just listening to myself like I sound so funny. We've got 20 minutes or thereabouts to talk about love, life and intimacy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we had last week off, which was awesome. It's only 20 minutes, but it felt really good, like symbolic self-care to take a week off somehow.
Complete rest. Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. So let's do a quick intro. We're going to be talking a little bit about self-love today, and I'll just launch straight into it. I'm Joanna Keeble. You can find me at bigbeautifulboundaries.com, where I have my boundaries course online for people who want a bit more confidence, a bit more joy, a bit more freedom in your life experience, or if you're just not sure what you're allowed to have, what you're allowed to feel, what you're allowed to say, and kind of sick of doing things other people's way. Yeah, and you can find me in my Facebook group Big Beautiful Boundary Builders, and I'll drop a link to that below a bit later on. And over to Jo.
Beautiful. Yeah, I am Jo Cooper, dating, sex and relationship coach, and I help women to oh god, it's the holiday.
Just you. It's just what you
What do I help women with? To identify what they want in life and how to ask for it so they can have a fulfilling, beautiful and turned on relationship. And I have a Facebook group that is thriving, which I absolutely love, and I'll drop the link below at the end, which is empowering women to ignite their desires. So yeah, really exciting. I'm going to be doing some training this week about trust, regaining trust in relationships. So yeah, really super excited. I was just planning it this morning actually. So yeah, really happy. Self-love.
Yeah, so self-love came up for me. There's a couple of things. One is the body love. So here I am today sharing my new Christmas PJs and my new Christmas bod, right? There's some Ferrero Rocher in there. I mean, these are also bigger than usual. But, you know, rocking the lockdown bod. I'm loving my new PJs. And I'm loving this bigger, curvier body. And which is something that I mostly haven't said in my life, and something I mostly haven't felt in my life. Mostly I've bought into what the magazines have told me, what the TV shows have told me, what my mother has told me. Yeah, we had a heart-to-heart a few years ago about the belly shame, because she learnt to shame her belly too, and I grew up knowing that above all I should hide my belly. And I should dress carefully to make sure it doesn't show. And yes, I've been unlearning some of that and holding the belly and loving the belly and letting it be okay. And we do a lot of this in my group, right? In my Facebook group, I'm sort of looking at, where do we learn this stuff? What are the things that you notice around you today that are teaching you that you should be ashamed of the way you look right now, or you're not good enough the way you are? And there was a TikTok that I watched today that's actually about the personal development industry and the idea that we're not enough. I think this is one of the reasons I felt really uncomfortable with coaching for a long time, because if you if you promote it in a certain way, you know, there's people out there who will really dig the knife in around, you're not good enough and you should change. And we can do that to ourselves, and it can just be a sort of shame fest where you just use that to beat yourself up, and it doesn't work. So I'll say one more thing. I had a client 2 days ago, we had a session, and I think we were actually going to use it to set some goals in her business, right? Because she's ready to move forward as a coach. And she told me her problem was inconsistency. Right, she's just not showing up. She doesn't build an online media, social media presence. And what the place we took it to instead was like the consistency of self-love, because if you don't have that, you're sure as hell not going to have anything else. You're not going to have that consistency in your online presence, not in any way that feels good and takes you to what you really want, who you really want to be. So we actually had to take it away from the setting like, okay, I'm going to post this many times, and sort of go into a cheerleading like, yeah, do it, you can do it. Let's be really strict about these external goals, and actually go, whoa, 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 let's build this house on a really solid foundation, and talk about those places that your inner critic is just railing on you and telling you you're not good enough when you do something, you're not good enough when you don't do something, and you're believing those voices wherever they came from, your mom, your grandma, your teachers, whatever it is.
I love
she was buying into it.
I love what you say about consistency, because it's actually not a linear process. Like self-love does not, personally, I have found for me, it does not look the same every single day. And I was speaking with Joanna before we hopped on here today, and I was just listening to an amazing podcast actually, and I've actually been doing some of this myself, and we'll go back, but just in terms of like the words that we say to ourselves, like, have a huge imprint. I mean, if we're looking in the mirror every day and shaming ourselves, we're actually doing the opposite to self-love. Like, how have we got a chance in terms of connecting with others and wanting a more fulfilling, fruitful, enriched life if we wake up and start shaming ourselves, start shaming our bodies? And I love what you said and how beautiful and proud that moment was. It just makes me smile so much that you can be so happy with like, oh, I have eaten Ferrero Rochers and my boobs are a little bit bigger, and I was just like, rock the fuck on. Like,
my belly exists and it's
substantial.
substantial.
Like, I wear crop tops all the time, and I know that whenever I'm on holiday or the sun is out, I can see my mother kind of looking a bit funny at me, and I'm like, I'm just like, fucking A, I love this. I absolutely love showing my belly, and I am proud to be able to have a belly and to not shame myself for wanting to show parts of like skin.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. My brain is now sort of spinning with all these different ways that we think we have to fit a specific mold. There's so many examples, but yeah, just like, you know, the Western beauty mold.
And it's like, oh, if I show too much skin, I'm a slut.
Yeah,
that is the one thing, the massive judgment or the shame that I get slandered at. Like, oh, she's a slut if you show too much skin. But then a man can show, I don't want to get into a particular political fight here, but it's just like, you know, a man can show way more skin and it's acceptable, but a woman that shows more skin, there's a lot more judgment and a lot more shaming that goes on around that. And it's really interesting to come and be okay with oneself and just being like, you know, I actually love my body and I want to be able to show skin. And it's interesting, it often, or what I hear a lot on social media is like more women, from what I've seen, are more sexualized in terms of like the way they look or the way, you know, they are showing up online to how men are. And it's just an interesting
yeah. Often there's an argument against that, which is, well, men show up online with their chests out looking sexy, or, you know, men show their bodies in films. And I just want to say there's a point there that oftentimes that's not actually for women. That's a competitive thing between men, or like a power play about men being powerful, where their sex makes them powerful, whereas sex doesn't make women powerful in the same way in the media. It's not the same thing, typically. So
do you want to go back to what you were saying about your client, the consistency?
Well, I'll tell you what I want to go to, which is all linked with the client. when you're talking about, if I do this, that means something bad, right? If I show too much
Mm.
skin, then I'm a slut. And it made me smile, because it just reminded me, like, it's about, for me, it was about living from a place of all day, every day, looking for where I'm wrong. So are you in a
Mm.
habit of thought or a habit of behavior where all day, every day, you're trying not to make a misstep? Are you like, am I going to get this wrong? Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're
Mhm.
looking for all day? And it's made me smile, because there's a shift that I've been experiencing, and it's uncomfortable and it's confronting. And it's about, the question that I'm now asking myself daily is like, can I love myself here? And so every time that voice pops up and says, Joanna, you haven't finished this thing, or Joanna, you haven't, like today, I I haven't dyed my eyebrows. These are the excuses I have. If I want to, as a woman, it's often very easy to find excuses, right? So I've been conditioned, brought up as a woman, and I didn't do my eyebrows. I haven't done my eyelashes. I haven't cut my hair. It's just growing straight out of my head in any old direction. I'm wearing my pajamas. Why? Because it's comfortable. It feels good and I love them. I'm actually excited to be seen in my PJs. But there's loads of excuses. And I used to slip into that slipstream of just shaming myself all day.
Mhm.
I haven't eaten breakfast, and I can make that into a place where I judge myself if I want to. If I'm looking for a tool, what can I hit myself with? Would this work? Yeah. Will this work? Yeah. And just use everything as a way to, then you'll find it. And instead, I'm asking myself, can I love myself here? And I'm using those thoughts that pop up as an opportunity to question every single one. Every time it comes up and says, oh, I don't want to get dressed, and that's bad, I just go, oh, well, is that bad, or is that just what I want? And how can I use this as an opportunity for self-love?
Mm. It kind of brings me on to this point. I'm just reading my notes. I was just thinking about, and yeah, it carries on from perfectly from what you're saying. And I think this is something that's happened to me over this period of Christmas, where I had to really undo this belief that if I don't show up online every day, and then I'm going to come back after Christmas and no one's going to want to listen to me, and all of this kind of bullshit that was going around. I was just like, I had to really undo that mind chatter to be like, it's actually okay to have a break.
Mm.
And yeah, the potency of slowing down. And I think the thing that I really got to is this place of like stillness, this place of stillness. And when I was in this place of stillness, and these questions, people, if you're single or in a relationship, you can ask yourself these questions, and they're very powerful, but very quite simple. And just noticing that when you slow down, the ability to slow down can, you know, can really, unravel some really great questions like, is this making me happy? And is this what I want? And if you're in a relationship, do I feel alive? Do I feel alive in this relationship? And is this nourishing me? And I think to be able to, and these are all part of like self-care, self-love, because you're coming back to yourself and what is nourishing for you. And I think often we can get caught up in the energy and the dynamics of relationship and relating, that it can be, when we can put our attention outside of ourselves, which all part of self-love is bringing your attention back to yourself. And this is really, really powerful. So to be able to, on a daily basis, I have given my coaching group questions to ask themselves every day, to connect themselves to them and their higher self, to notice what they need, because every day looks different.
Mm.
I massage different parts of my body every day. I was just saying to Joanna beforehand, like the session, like, I've one of my tools, or one of my massage tools at the moment, is predominantly like breast massage, and how a beautiful and nourishing as a practice that is, and how different I feel about my body, and how it starts to interact in different spaces because of the attention and love, and yeah, really beautiful. I could go on a little bit more about that, but I often find that when you are feeding your soul with love and nourishment, then how much more you are able to receive.
Mm.
When you can start to receive, you can have more, and life really starts to look abundant. And that could be like lots of hugs, that could be going for walks, that could be anything. Life abundantly doesn't always think of like the getting a super fast car or always going on these amazing holidays, but it actually starts with nourishment at the core.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you're saying about receiving, and I'm not sure if everyone's really familiar with that. I love how you're saying all these like really simple things, but like they're simple, but that doesn't mean that we do them or that we say them habitually. And it certainly doesn't mean that that's what we've been given to work with. They're really simple, but were they covered at school? Or did we learn to do what I say? You know what I mean? Did we learn, oh, how do you feel? Well, how can you take care of yourself? And one thing that you said is it's different every day. Like, it's not a default. There's no like default formula. There's not a recipe that you repeat every day. It's feeling based. And yeah, it's really trusting yourself to know what you need, and paying attention to what you want and what feels good. And yeah, when we're nourished, okay, so back to receiving. Yeah. When we're nourished, then we can actually extract more from the things that the opportunities or the nourishment available to us. So nourished. Yeah, so you talked about hugs, but it's not necessarily just having more hugs, right? But actually being able to receive the hug or receive a compliment, whatever it is.
Hugs is just an example, but I think it's whatever.
Yeah.
It is about receiving, and I think it's about the quality. Just because someone's offering you a hug doesn't mean that you have to take it. And I think that's the other thing of just knowing, actually, do you really want this? Because sometimes people just they've done that to me plenty of times, throwing their arms open, expecting a hug, and I've had to quite kindly, now I would say no thank you, but in the past I've had to dart quite quickly. I sometimes just duck. It's just like, obviously I got familiar with the word no thank you, and we started to change a lot of things, but it's okay. It's okay.
Beautiful. So yeah, self-love, I think it feels really relevant. Oh God, it's always relevant. God knows it's always relevant. But right now, post holiday period, right? Post holidays, post festival of food and drink, and for me, several weeks of Ferrero Rocher. Then there's this stupid thing in January when we feel like, okay, New Year means everything's going to be different, right? And we're looking at New Year's resolutions after a really, really challenging year, and heading into another challenging year. And there's a bit where we tend to think it's going to be different, and it's like, in some ways it's not necessarily going to be different, and that's going to be hitting people now.
Totally. And I think I read something really interesting. It's just like, I mean, let's just get really honest here. I think there's things that we want to create in life, which I think is great. And then the also thing is about New Year's resolution is just like, do we want to set them and then feel bad about ourselves? Or do we want, for me, I think it's just like, how do I really want to treat myself this year? How do I want
Yes.
how do I want to treat myself so then I can start to create the things that I want to create? And I've actually started to frame it differently because not really knowing what's going to happen, it's
Yeah.
like I want to be able to nourish myself where I'm not pulling or I'm not having any expectations, on other people or other things. And that will just be a bonus if someone wants to come and shower me with love and attention,
Yeah.
and which is just going to be gorgeous and beautiful. But it's just like there's a way that something really beautiful for me that's happening at the moment. It's just like, how do I give that to myself completely and utterly unconditionally?
Mm,
For me, that is
exactly.
golden. That
Right.
is
You're setting
golden.
yourself up to win. You've got to set yourself up to win. Oh,
And then it's just like, oh my God, I can create all these amazing, wonderful things. I'm winning all the time because I'm putting the intention back onto myself. And that in turn, like my energy is going to feel magnetic. I'm going to be in flow. And all these beautiful things can happen from really nourishing and loving myself in every single moment.
right. Only when we're nourished are we really in a good position to handle whatever life throws at us. And if we're not taking care of our nourishment and we're running on empty, and then life blindsides you with some shit, which, heads up, that's quite likely at this point, then the kind of choosing to to have a really rough time of it. We really need to sort of make sure that we've got some stores of good stuff inside.
Definitely.
Oh, there's one more thing that came up. One of the reasons that I focused on consistency of self-love with my client 2 days ago was we dug into the why behind some of her business goals, and
Mm.
it sounded a lot, and to me it was too uncomfortably close to, I'm not worthy until I do this. I need to do this so that I can prove that I am, good at what I do, or prove that I'm worthy of love. It was like, oh, that's a really interesting why. Because what you're saying when you say I have to prove that I'm good enough by doing this thing, is you're saying I'm going to withhold all the love until and unless I achieve a certain external objective. What a
Mhm.
fucking unloving thing to do. What a horrendous way to treat yourself. What about that inner child? You're going to withhold all the love from your inner child until you've been to the gym a certain number of times, got your waist down to a certain size, or showed up consistently on social media with no love to fuel you or maintain you.
Mhm.
Yeah, good luck with that goal. That's really harsh, guys.
Yeah, I think there's something around. Yeah, this could go into a much deeper conversation. I'm just aware of time, and I just wanted to let our viewers know, I just wanted to let you know that, yeah, I mean, we haven't got any questions as such, but we just got a few little comments that
Cool.
people are kind of resonating with what we are saying, especially Melanie feeling that I'm embarrassing my mum is a big thing for me. Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
yeah.
I hear you, hon. Totally hear you. Yeah, lots of things come up there, but yeah, bringing it back to being in the day, doing one loving thing for yourself,
Mm.
I think is golden.
That's the New Year's diet, right?
That
One
is
loving thing every day. Feel that nourishment.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot can happen. A lot can happen. And I'd love to know if people did that for a whole month, for 30 days, to, yeah, to come back and let us know. And if anything has resonated with you, or you've got any questions from today,
Yeah.
then
Also,
just
if you
please
have
let us
a
know.
self-love practice, if you have a daily self-love practice, or if you're about to start one now, I'd love to know what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, should we wrap this baby up?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to pitch my Facebook group, Big Beautiful Boundary Builders. It's an intimate community of a few awesome people that I know who are up for a slightly higher quality conversation than your average Facebook conversation. And I'm looking to breed connection, communication, and unpick some of the boundary bullshit that we experience every day. In a way that feels authentic, and yeah, invite people to contribute, ask questions, share what's coming up for them, with the understanding that this stuff is personal, it's individual, and there's no shame or blame going on. It's really like the value that we can have from actually communicating a bit better. So yeah, Big Beautiful Boundary Builders. I'm kind of loving it right now.
Beaut. Yeah, so my group, as I mentioned at the beginning, Empowering Women to Ignite Their Desires. I'm live in that Facebook group most days, and once a week I will be hosting training on a particular subject from a poll that people can vote on within the group. So really exciting. I love that.
I might steal that at some point. That's awesome.
Pardon?
That's
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
really
I may steal it.
So yes, I hop in live. I love connecting. I love sharing. It's just such a really beautiful way to, yeah, just create a lot of sisterhood and nourishment and love, something that may feel that we're not really getting at the moment. And I think to create, for me, an online, you know, an online community is just, yeah, it's just really special. And so if you would like to join that, then please just follow the link below this video. I'd love to see you there. And don't forget, this Wednesday at 4 p.m. UK time, I will be hosting some training on trust, and I'll let you know a bit about my story around trusting and relationships, and what that really looks like, and how to regain trust. Maybe a partner, something's happened in your relationship and it feels a bit rocky, or you're single and you want to go back into a relationship but you're actually finding it hard to trust men again, in terms of like a hetero relationship. So yes, anyway, we will love you and leave you and see you next week. Lots of love, and yeah, have a wonderful week.